I'm Mike Sullivan, and this is Open Championship Week over at Royal Birkdale. The British Open, or the Open Championship, always seems to bring up talk of a special type of challenge in golf, and that challenge is the elements. One of those big elements is playing in the wind. So today we're going to talk about how you can play your best when playing in the wind. So playing into the wind. Have you heard the phrase, when it's breezy, swing easy? Well, the reason that phrase comes up is because if you swing easy, you're going to make better contact. So if you swing smoother, you'll probably make better contact, more solid contact. When we're playing into the wind, especially into the wind, what happens is any side spin that's on our ball is going to be exaggerated. So if you play a little bit of a fade, well, when you hit into a stiff breeze, that ball is going to actually slice quite a bit. Now, if you swing easy, you're probably going to have less club head speed. You might have less ball speed, and I say you might because some people, when they swing easier, they actually make such better contact that they hit the ball even farther because their ball speed is higher. But in any event, when we're hitting into a stiff breeze, we're going to use extra club to make up for that breeze obviously knocking the ball down. So instead of playing my 8-iron here for this 155-yard shot, I'm going to play a 7-iron. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to make a little practice swing where I feel like I'm making a very, very short backswing, and I'm going to focus on really being smooth through the shot, and I just want to make center face contact and really try to do my best to connect with this ball with a nice, more of a straight shot. I'm not looking to play my typical draw here. So that was really solid, really straight. And with that wind knocking it down, it would be about 155 yards. How do you know how much extra club to take? That's going to be really experience. There are some people who use a rule of thumb where at 10 miles an hour of extra wind, you're going to add 1 club. I've never been really good at figuring out what 10 miles an hour feels like. So the way that I really go by it is if I really notice a little bit of force coming against me, I call that like a 1 club wind. If I notice a lot more force, I call it a 2 club wind. So there's definitely a little bit of guesstimating going on when we do this. But suffice to say, we just want to make sure we're making solid contact with probably a smaller swing and a longer club, because the more solid contact we have, the straighter we're going to hit the ball. Now, I see a lot of people really get into trouble when hitting their driver into the wind. And here's why. I'm going to grab my driver. We tend to want to hit the ball low when we are hitting a driver into the wind. Obviously, we want to keep it down a little bit, keep it out of the strongest part of the wind. So when we do that, what happens is we run the risk of actually making a little bit of, I'm going to change my stance here, we run the risk of making a little bit of an out-to-in swing path, because when the ball is teed up low, people don't like to really feel like they're sweeping up on it at all. So I will go ahead and tee this a little teeny bit lower than normal, and I'm going to play it not as far forward in my stance. Now, when I start moving the ball a little bit back in my stance, now I'm starting to get into a territory where I may catch that ball too much from the inside of the target line and hit pushes and hooks. So the only way that I'm going to really be ready to do this is by practicing on the range. So I don't just get on the golf course on a windy day and tee it down and move it back in my stance and just assume it's all going to work out. I practice these things, and I'm going to practice on the range with a little bit lower tee height, the ball not as far forward in my stance, and I'm going to see if I can hit this ball straight or if it's going to give me a push or a hook. Let's see what happens here. So that was a little bit of a push. So I'm going to try it again, and I'm going to play it what feels like a little bit further forward in my stance. And you know what's funny on these things? You know, if you watch on video and you really keep track of everything, you may not see very much of a difference. Some of these things do come down to a little bit of a feel. So this one feels to me like it's a little bit less back in my stance. Let's see if I can connect on this a little bit better. There we go. So that was a nice, low, penetrating, straighter ball flight. So When it comes to hitting driver into the wind, you can't grab more club, right? That's where you want to start playing the ball a little bit back in your stance, but you've got to practice, because if you get too far back and if you get too low, you're going to get some weird things happening. If you don't get a chance to practice these shots and you find yourself on the golf course on a windy day, just swing normally and try to swing a little bit easier, especially when it gets to the driver, okay? So in summary, playing into the wind, more club, shorter swing, smoother tempo. With your driver, tee it a little bit lower and play it a little bit back in your stance. Now, adjust those things in your game, practice with it, and you'll actually look forward to the next time that you get to play in the wind. The whole video she wouldn't come over, and now she comes over. Excuse me, Cookie, you want to go have your bone over there? Go have your bone. Good girl. Okay, so she's got a bone that hopefully will keep her occupied. We'll see. All right, I think we'll start over now.